What's up, everyone? Welcome back. I wanted to talk about the pale blue dot and show you how fake it is. But before I get into that, I want to look at a quote from someone who was the Minister of Propaganda in Nazi Germany back in 33 to 45. And this guy named Joseph said something really important to how the enemy operates, to what they were doing back then, and how you can create a giant lie. And like he says here, if you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. That's how they sculpt our false reality. And he says the lie can be maintained only for such time as the state can shield the people from the political, economic, and or military consequences of the lie. It thus becomes vitally important for the state to use all of its powers to repress dissent, for the truth is the mortal enemy of the lie. And thus, by extension, the truth is the greatest enemy of the state. So what he's telling you is that the lies they tell us are essentially our greatest enemy, because they are hiding the truth from all of us, and they have been, and that's their goal, and it has been since creation, to hide the truth, to deceive you, and lie to you. I know the shape of the earth seems like an insignificant lie. It's not. You can still go to heaven and believe in the globe. I'm not against anyone here who comes here believing in the globe. You are free to come here and investigate and keep an open mind. It's not our religion, but it is a simple truth that leads a lot of people back to the Father, because He created this world, and whether it's flat and stationary with a firmament above us, or hurling through space at Mach 600 plus, the intelligent design is there either way. However, there are some lies being told by certain organizations, and I want to expose them, and one of them is this pale blue dot. Seems innocent, but Carl Sagan has the famous pale blue dot quote that he has, talking about this image here, taken by NASA from 3.7 billion miles away, and you're looking at a beam of light. Somehow, I don't know what medium it's traveling through to show up, but there's a beam of light shrouding Earth. This is in recent times. We didn't see it that night. I don't know why people weren't looking up at the night sky to see the tunnel of light going around us, but I have yet to see images of that. But when they took that photo and turned that camera homeward from that far away, just like they did when they were controlling the cameras in real time on the moon, they were able to turn it around at that great distance, further than the sun, and snap this photo. That's what they tell us. But look at how he repeats the lies, as he says 3 times, "That's here, that's home, that's us." And his voice is very hypnotic. It makes you just believe it. I remember hearing that and going, wow, that's so cool. That's us, that little speck right there. I believed it. No reason to really question that. It seems so harmless. But here is where he uses the same methods and repeats things over and over. And he says, on it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives, a mote of dust, suspended in a sunbeam. So Carl Sagan repeating the lies over and over and over. And if you read the actual quote, it says everyone and every, like, probably 30 or 40 more times within a paragraph, because they have to repeat it, and it sticks, and it does. You start saying that, and you hear people say that, and I talk to people who remember these exact quotes, almost word for word. But we're going to look at this picture with a little bit of common sense and do some investigation and prove that it is bogus and fake, just like all of the other ones we've investigated so far. And when you break it down and look at how big that little dot is, because we can do that, we have the technology to zoom in and count the pixels of that little pale blue dot, and it's about 18 pixels wide. And if you compare that to how big the sun would be, given that it's 108 times or 109 times, somewhere around there, bigger than the Earth, you do some multiplication, you get this number here. That many pixels is how big the sun would be. Because when I looked at this picture of the pale blue dot, I first thought all of these light rays coming in, perfectly straight lines, span across the screen. And I'll move this out of the way so you can see. Okay, these light rays moving in straight lines. How big is that sun? It must be gigantic. Well, let's see how big it really is. That's how big the sun would be at its distance of 3.7 billion miles, much further than the sun. And as you can see, we would have a half Earth because the sun would be down here. Otherwise, what we're looking at is a fully illuminated Earth, and the sun should be in between the camera and the Earth. But it's not. So they're telling us we'll just excuse that it's not a half-lit Earth. We'll say that it is. You just can't tell because it's blurred. So we can just pretend that it is half-lit and the sun is down here. Even if it is, these light rays don't match how big the sun would be compared to the pale blue dot. This is a very close scale comparison of the two. The dot that you can probably barely see, and the sun, that's their size differences here. This mote of dust in a sunbeam, highly inaccurate as far as the sun. Unless the sun is way larger, the sun would have to go from here, way out here, for those sunbeams to keep moving in straight lines this direction. And the Earth at night would have a constant tunnel of light from the sun shrouding it. We never do. The light follows the sun and gets filtered out, changes colors as that local sun is traveling and shining through so much atmosphere, kind of like when you go scuba diving and go down in the water. It gets darker and darker the deeper you go. As the sun gets further away, it gets darker and darker. Certain colors are filtered out. That's why the sky is pink at sunset. But here's what it looks like under photo forensics. If you switch it to luminous grade, shows you what this little pale blue dot looks like. Pretty cool looking. Looks almost like star footage that I've taken. When you take a picture of a star kind of sitting there next to the moon, you can zoom in. If you get really close to the moon and pan your camera towards the stars, you'll pick up a little star, and sometimes that's exactly what you get. And that's probably what this picture is. It's probably a star very close to the moon, and they took a picture of it and passed it off as Earth. Very easy to do. This didn't take a lot of work, just took a lot of poetry to get that ingrained in our minds that it was real. It's not. It's more of their same false images. It's not a picture. They'll probably call this an image if you go and look on their website or go to Google pale blue dot. It's in the news. Top stories. This is from a day ago. Let's see what National Geographic has to say about this. And this was taken from Voyager 1. I think I forgot to say that. And they say it captured this iconic portrait from 6.4 billion kilometers away. Oop, there it is. This photo has inspired. Oh look, this is a wider shot of this. And the sunbeams go even further out than the picture I was showing you guys. This massive sun. The sun would have to be way over here, shining these lights this direction. Massive. Wished I would have found this picture. I was using one from a news article that I found on Facebook. So they're quoting Carl Sagan. Image of Earth taken from Voyager. This was back in 1990. And like the Flat Earth comic says, if he had batteries like this thing, that'd be great on his car. I don't know where that technology came from, because we don't have it now, definitely, to send something in that environment, that cold. Look, back then they were using the CGI. And this is just the Carl Sagan quote, repeating all those lies over and over and over. There he is. He's famous, wealthy, just for saying a quote and repeating the wizardry that they repeat over and over again. There's us. There's that pale blue dot. Targeting our children. little kids, planets, animations. Don't know why it didn't take pictures of this stuff. Why are we using animations if we had something back then in the 90s go away and could have sent us that exact same imagery, but it waited until it was billions of miles away to take that one little picture? Got to be angry when we're getting all these animations and they have sent something that far away that could have taken the exact same little segments that we just saw. So, celebrating Carl Sagan, 30th anniversary. That was 30 years ago. I was a 6-year-old child being indoctrinated. Not cool, Carl. Not cool, buddy. But in honor of Carl and his 30-year quote, I want to say, that's definitely not here, that's not home, and that's not us. Not everyone you love, nor everyone you've ever known lives on that little dot. Not every human being who ever was. That's a lie. We are not a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam.